Okay, so to kick it off, what I've noticed is that throughout this EP, people are going to be able to recognise some more familiar sounds that are like more chilled out to you guys and a more indie approach to your music. Is this like slightly heavier indie sound that you've kind of gone with through a couple of the tracks, something that you aim to push more going forward with this band?
I think with the kind of okay, I think with kind of the recognizing the genres that we use and the extensive kind of artists that we take reference from, I think the heavier sound will come through, but I think a lot of the lighter sound will come through as well. So I feel like in the future we will be progressing into like both fields, and because we've enjoyed it, we've enjoyed going through both. Because songs like Desire, definitely kind of that's a sound which just comes so naturally to us with our backgrounds, our musical backgrounds, definitely. And with me writing it, that stuff's just bread and butter. Where the kind of lighter indie pop stuff and, going into like a more of an electronic sound in some of the stuff we're writing at the moment, it's definitely like, it's just challenging and it's fun. And that's just, I feel like with this EP, it's just the beginning. Like, we're definitely going to shoot off in all the different directions again with the, stuff we've got coming up.
So one thing that's quite evident when you listen to the EP itself is that every single song is kind of like a different subgenre. Do you reckon this is something that happened quite naturally? Just it's what came to mind, or is there any particular reason like that you did this on purpose?
I think it's more just like this is just our songs that it just comes naturally to like it's songs that I don't know. Hang on, Diz. Yeah, you explain. I'm a bit thrown off at the moment.
The thing with it is we all have different backgrounds. We all have different genres that we take influence from, and it's stuff like, so when I wrote Free After Party, I was like 17. I was listening to a lot of Hippo Campus and a lot of like Two Door Cinema Club and Vampire Weekend and Viola Beach. Kind of runs predominantly throughout the album throughout the EP because I love them. So that's where the different songs come from. And like, so with Free After Party being the oldest song, and then Romantic Fool being the newest one, I wrote Romantic Fool in like February this year. So it is the newest one. And it all does come like naturally. So it's just what I'm listening to at that point and what I take influence from. Like, I think, Romantic Fool, it comes from a very like 1975, the new stuff like Frail State of Mind and Me and You Together song and Birthday Party, that all kind of like went into that. And then with UNCOOL, it was a very kind of like, it was our interpretation of like, Juice WRLD or Lil Peep or that lo-fi kind of like, that song craves for drums and like really hard hitting 808s where it just doesn't get there because that's not us, you know what I mean? So that's where the reference points come in. So it is just really about what we're listening to at the time and what takes our interest and what happens when we get in a room, because we've been rehearsing for our show in November recently, and we've just been, messing around with some new tracks. And that sort of stuff, it just happens. It just happens of when, sometimes Joe's got a light tone or sometimes Harris has got a heavier drum beat, and that's just the way it flows together. So it's not really like on purpose, it's just our kind of musical nature coming through, I guess.
So the EP kicks off with Free After Party. If I'm not wrong, you guys re-recorded this track for the EP, or at least reproduced it, it sounds like. Why did you guys choose to do this?
So, in like brutal honesty, so that song has been like it's been recorded the longest. We recorded it, I recorded it myself in kind of 2018 time, from end of 2019, and then we re-recorded it again in September 2019 as a band. And we were just playing through it, and as the band grew, we kind of grew with it. So we looked at Free After Party and we just thought like, that's not, that kind of like the melodic kind of just like stumbling along sense that it has, that's not us anymore. We want to create a more vibrant kind of thing while also keeping that at heart. So, some of the kind of like, some of the MIDI we've taken out of it and we've replaced it. And then, my guitar line is probably the most dominant because the chords that I was playing has been replaced to a piano, and now I'm playing a bit more of like a funk beat. That's kind of like, that's the way that we've gone. We've grown with that song. and so be it, because the EP has taken so long to come out and we've really, took our time with it. That's what we did. But I think we had it recorded. We had the same version recorded, and then I met up with Joe just to kind of like mix everything in about July time, because it was when Leicester were in lockdown. Paris couldn't make it, so it was just me and Joe, and we were just kind of getting through it, and we would just kind of put our heads together and just kind of thought, forget I need something else. It's really lacking, and compared to the rest of the EP, so it just needs something. It craved, the newer sound that we produced. So that's where that kind of came from.
Did you guys?
It just fits with the whole thing, really. Like, it just fits with the. Sorry to interrupt. Sorry.
Carry on.
No, it fits with the whole like style of the EP after that. Because if we put the a version of Free After Party before, I don't think it would have fit with every other song that was on the EP then. But it just grows with the song.
Did you guys produce this EP by yourselves, or did you get an engineer to do it for you?
No, so we recorded. Okay, so Harris recorded the drums in that short kind of like that 1 week that everyone got out of lockdown, and then they decided to put Leicester back in. Harris literally like ran to the studio in Leicester, recorded the drums, and then we recorded it all the bass and guitars and vocals. We recorded them either at my house or at Joe's house, and then I've mixed it and produced it and mastered it just from where I'm sat now, really. So yeah, we had. That's why it's got kind of like, it's got an almost like DIY amateur feel to it. We didn't really want the first things that we released to be like, I don't really know. Like, we wanted to do it ourselves, and that's the sound we came out with, and we're proud of it, and we couldn't be more proud of it, to be honest. And I feel like if we'd have got anyone else involved, it would have taken a completely different approach. So,
You wanted like a bit more of a raw spring sound to it, rather than it being like compressed and ruined by an engineer, essentially.
Yeah, and the one thing that my girlfriend says is because I just show her all of the tracks all the time, she never gets a break from Springs pretty much. And the one thing that she said when we first started recording was, that doesn't sound like you. So we did go in a studio back in February, and she was just like, that just doesn't sound like you live. And that's what we wanted to capture. At the end of the day, we're a live band, and that's what we wanted to do. So the best way to do that was to strip it all back. We got one microphone, 2 amplifiers, and just put it in Joe's lounge and just went, right, let's do it. And the vocals were literally recorded like right there. And then we went through, and then from there, it's more of the raw recordings that make it sound raw rather than the production, because I feel that the production it has value, if you know what I mean. And like, we could have got, a producer to have recorded that and, mixed it, but I feel like it would have just been a completely different vibe.
So the next track that we see on the EP is Desire, obviously, which brings quite a guitar-driven, a little bit heavier, almost like Catfish and the Botman kind of sounding tune, really. Is that something that just came naturally to you guys when you wrote it?
I think not really. I don't think Catfish wasn't our first influence for this song. We was more springing towards I don't know, more like I guess like newer emo songs, I guess. Would you agree, Dids, with that one? I don't know. Definitely emo vibes were just the thing for that song.
Yeah, well, especially like lyrically, it fit. You could slot that into like 3 Cheers by Mike, and it wouldn't make a difference. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion. Like, I feel like it fit into like a new emo genre kind of way, and then I feel like that, the tones that we provided on the guitars that kind of give it that Catfish vibe that's more kind of like just us as players. I feel like that. I don't think Catfish was an influence on that. Definitely, I don't think anything indie rock kind of way was an influence. I feel like it was the way where we push indie out of its box. I feel like we took a song and brought it back in a bit more, which is something we're kind of getting from a lot of people who've listened to the EP. They're kind of saying, oh, it's like, it's here, there and everywhere. And it's like, yeah, but like there is kind of method to the madness. When we write an indie song, we try and push it as far away from that genre as we can, but while keeping it in the box of Springs, where with this song, and like with 317, we took like, the kind of punk, metal, emo kind of stuff, and we just sucked it all back in and just made it our own. And I feel like that's why this EP worked in our heads so well, because everything's just kind of pushed to its limits one way or another. So.
Through this EP, it feels as though there's kind of a concept of a rise and fall love story in a way, like with it starting out with Free After Party and then the end, Atheist kind of feels a bit more of a mellow, kind of more depressing track in the best way possible. Is this kind of a concept that you aimed to put out there, or is this just kind of something that just kind of happened when you were writing? Or is it not even a concept that you had at all and I've just kind of completely misread it?
I feel like the order of the songs strategically kind of follow a story. Like there is a reason why you get out of Free After Party, you know, what can I say? You blew me away, straight into a song like Desire, which is like, you know, completely anti-love song. So I feel like it's strategically placed the way the EP is, but it doesn't kind of follow a story. Like these songs I wrote these songs like kind of from about, you know, back end of, like front end of 2018, and then the most recent one was February 2020. So, you know, these songs, they don't line up to a story. These aren't like cleverly crafted, you know, storytelling like we do in other projects. This is just my life, really. Like that's just it. And I just took specific stories and specific people and just, you know, wrote songs about them and wrote stories about them. But yeah, I'd definitely say we wanted to kind of conceptualize the lineup of the tracks, and they are in that order for a reason. There is a reason why you finish, you know, 317 with such a long piano ending, and then it's like, whew, that's it, EP done. But it's like, no, you've got a 6-minute acoustic song about, you know, never being in love with someone who you're with for like 2 years. So it's like, it's that kind of like, you know, you come out of Desire and you're so kind of like adrenaline thrilled, then into a song like UNCOOL. And then, you know, you go out of all of the kind of like, you're exhausted by the end of 317, but it's like, it's not done yet. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's the way, we have spoke about the kind of track order a lot. That is something that has come up in a lot of conversations with us when we were planning. But they weren't meant to be a story, but they just kind of become that, I think.
I mean, personally, I think the way you've kind of structured it is like really smart, because it's very much kind of like an emotional and like adrenaline-filled roller coaster, because you start off and it's pretty chill and then it's like up and down and up and down. And I think personally it's just a very smart way to construct an EP, especially the first EP that you're bringing out. It's a very like strong start for you guys as a band.
I feel like we just wanted to get the feeling, like that feeling in your chest, like the feeling that I listen to when I listen to like, I don't know, like A Brief Inquiry, right? It's just front to back, and you start with such like a subtle piano song, and then it ends with like I Always Want to Die, you know, and that kind of exhaustion of up and down. And like, I think one of the biggest ones for me and Harris were Green Day, American Idiot. Just that constant like battle with your own emotions the whole way through. You feel exhausted at the end, and that's what I feel you should be that invested in music. And I hope when people listen to our EP, they're that invested in the story and they just listen to it front to back, and they're able to kind of like connect into the same headspace that we were in when we were making it, because it is meant to be a roller coaster. It's meant to be, you're meant to be exhausted by connecting with the song by the end. And I think that is something that we have spoke about like quite a lot, and it's something that we want to progress forward with in music that we're making. Now we're planning for kind of like future releases.
So when you're actually writing the songs and constructing them together, like just as the basic ideas of the song, do you guys tend to write from experiences that you guys have had personally, or inspiration, so kind of like what you can create in your head, or is it just a mixture of the both, really?
So lyrically, like I feel I've said this before, like I strive on saying that all the songs are truthful. So like everything has happened to me, and it's just whether, like in Free After Party, you make it about a character and you try and make a romanticized story out of it, or you just say it how it is, like in 317. But all the songs are truthful, and all the songs are kind of have happened and have happened that way.
I think like that's a really good way to approach songs as well and writing, because it's like, for a listener, it's really interesting when you listen to an album or an EP or a single and it's really stripped down and just from the artist's heart, and it's just straightforward because you really get to know them without actually knowing them, and it really kind of connects you closer to the EP as a whole or the album, whatever the artist releases.
Yeah, and I think it's like, I think if you write truthfully, it invites people in. It's why I don't tend to use names in the songs or give the characters names. It's normally just kind of like pronouns or I, just like speaking about myself. I never kind of give them names or put them in third person, just because so people can relate, and also so people don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I don't want people coming to me and being like, "Oh, this song's about this person." It's just like, well, no, just like take it as a story, and I want to know what it means to you. I don't want to know what I meant. You know, I love hearing that, and it's something we've got from Desire, especially just like people just coming and saying, "Oh, I felt this way, or I thought this thing, or like, is the story this?" It's like, well, you know, it's what you want it to be, and that's why we don't tend to use names, and we try and make overly romanticized stories that people can just get invested in.
So, how would you summarise your first era as Springs with the release of this EP, and what do you hope to achieve after this EP is out and it's been promoted?
How to say this? I'm not too sure, really. I guess it's how to summarise this EP. It's more of like, I think I remember speaking to Diz with this. It's like a collection of songs of our experiences and stuff. But for the next year, to progress from that, I guess we want to, I don't know, just I guess just a better version of it, really. I don't really know, because we did this all from through lockdown. We produced this from lockdown, and I think hopefully if things get better from COVID, then we could produce a more quality version of the last thing we did. So I think that's where we would like to go, I guess.
So yeah, and in the last few weeks as well, we applied and we've been scouted by Mass Records, which are Birmingham. I think it's like a council-funded thing for musicians, and they, you know, and you get like studio space and like promotion and stuff like that. And but so that's good, and it's good that now we're able to kind of like we're organised anyway, but now we're actually able to organise with someone in control and just being like, this is a good idea, this is a bad idea. So you won't get from us, you won't get as much music next year. If we're talking like next year, you won't get as much new music next year, but the songs that are coming out and the songs that we've got, I like them. I think they're sick. They're going in like a really cool direction, and we're getting more heartbreaking, more political, more romantic, more numb, like just every kind of thing that we strive on is what we do. And we've been dying to talk about politics in a song, because we would have just released one over lockdown, but it's like, no, got the EP to come out, like this is it, we're just playing catch up now. So now we're actually looking forward to be able to record songs and actually get on with it. So
is there anything you can give us a little teaser about this political song before it's released?
Daisy, what's that lyric you put in? I'll just say, can I say the title of the song?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Right, so we've got a song just called Last Night. There's a lyric that Dids told me what was the lyric?
I think I've told you one thing.
Oh, I swear it was. Is it? It was a Boomer lyric. That was it.
Oh, okay, Boomer, riddle me this, because the world's gone to shit.
I love that.
This thought we would include like meaty stuff in it, you know.
So from the political song, I can tell you we're releasing it. Well, COVID permitting, we're releasing it with a huge show, and it's probably going to be our biggest show to date. We're already starting to plan it. We're already getting the lineup together. We're trying to get the venue to look exactly how we want it. And yeah, it is just. It's not like it. It's not a like, you know, fuck Boris song, or like fuck Corbyn, or like fuck Trump, or like fuck the government. It follows a story of two people just feeling too overwhelmed in this world, and just you can't pick up your phone without something going wrong in the world. And that's where this idea of what Harry said, the title Last Night, it is two people reminiscing, and it is two people trying to find their way through this crazy outspoken world that is just falling apart around them. So yeah, that's probably more than I should have told you, but you know.
So across this EP, we can see, like, obviously there's lots of different subgenres, but one of the things that sticks is definitely, from me, it's quite guitar driven. So there's lots of, solos, lead guitar riffs, little licks here and there. And we know that obviously Joe likes jazz and has got some roots in jazz. Is this something that you think is more influential, or is it just something that came naturally to you guys when you were writing these songs?
That's just Joe.
Yeah.
Perfect, honestly. We'll play a song and he'll be like, I need a solo. And we're just like, you got it. You know what I mean? Like, that's just Joe. When we're writing songs, I always, the three things I always leave is, so what I do, so when we write, so I write the song and then just leave drums and lead guitar and then just send it to the lads and just go, have you got any inspiration from this? And if they say no, then we'll go back to the drawing board. When we've got a song kind of padded out, the one thing I leave is I leave space for a solo. I leave, the guitar lines are very subtle, kind of like the rhythm guitar is very subtle, so it leaves Harris to do whatever he wants. And then it's just got to be, I always leave a verse where I can just spout shit and just, talk rubbish and just try and use big, convoluted similes and stuff. But that's it. But yeah, so with the kind of jazz influence, I feel like that shines through most on Romantic Fool, because in the chord progression, we've been told by a few people who have listened to it, like, oh, this is wrong. Or this is wrong. The chord progression, something happens. And it's like, that's the point. It's dissonant at the end. And that's the jazz roots coming through from Joe. And it also lines up perfectly with the song, because the song kind of, when I was writing it especially, and looking at the themes, it is all about kind of dreaming of that person, but they're gone. And that's that, you hit that dissonant chord and it's like, oh, and then it all resolves. But then the lyrics don't do that. So the lyrics really do the rhythm guitar justice, I think. But yeah, the solos are that's just Joe, really. Yeah. He likes being on stage, and he likes, when we play Call You Up by Verla Beach, he loves that solo, and he's just dying for me to write a song that allows him to solo like that. And we do have a song that's coming out that's like that, so I think he's pretty gassed about that. But yeah, all the little licks and stuff, that's all Joe. So.
You've just kind of briefly touched on this, but was there any particular writing process for this EP, or was it just kind of very experimental when it came to recording it?
I'd say so. It was a lot of trial and error, to be honest. Because when we first did when we did our first mixes, they weren't exactly how we wanted it at first. So there was a lot of Zoom. Yeah. What did your girlfriend say? Did she say it sounded like?
It sounds like you listened to it behind a glass screen. That was it. Because I've developed as a producer as well as the band's developed. Because this is my first big kind of thing that I've done. So there's been, I think Desire had about 20 mixes before I brought it of just complete different shit. I just tried, because it all was just trial and error. And that, especially with the writing process, I had all the lyrics wrote throughout, except for Romantic Fool. I had everything. And then I just kind of brought these songs. Free After Party has changed the most. UNCOOL sounded like Desire, but then we changed it to what it is now. And then, and Atheist, I think, has stayed. I found a clip on my phone the other day of when I was 17, and I played the Atheist, and it hasn't changed throughout. Pretty much the only thing that changes is the solo at the end. So, things do develop, but then other things just completely stay the same. And I think lyrically, I'm a bit stubborn. I don't budge. When I like a lyric, that's just it, and I like it, But yeah, definitely kind of instrumentally, and the production, there's a lot of versions of all the songs that we just chose the best from, and that's just it. And we're still very young as a band, and we're just trying to find our sound and find what we're doing. So, definitely, as Harry said, a lot of trial and error, and a lot of kind of sitting in a room for 3 hours trying to find a snare sound that Harris is just tightening his kit and just being like, this will sound good for this. Just recording, we just wanted to make our first kind of big project as good as we could. So that's what we tried to do.
How long did it take you to get together this EP with writing the songs, Well, obviously writing songs kind of comes in like stages and in bits, but like once you've got them all together and it went into recording and producing this EP, how long did it take?
Recording, I think Harris did drums in was it like 3 hours or something? Like you banged them out quick, because we know these songs inside out and we've been playing them for months. So the recording side was very quick. We went about it the wrong way, so we recorded the whole songs except for the drums, and then we recorded the drums, and then we went back and recorded the rest of the stuff that didn't fit, which was such a long way to do it that me and Joe kind of sat there and we were like, we can't just have these songs and not record them. We can't wait on studios to open so Harris can record the drums. We want to get at least something down. But the producing, like, I got them finished first week of August, I think. I finished first week of August, kind of last week of July. And I started mixing them. I was kind of avidly on them like every day from about the end of May. And then obviously when Harris recorded in June, I was on it then. So it has taken a while, and that's why we have got so many mixes, because it did take it took a long time to get right, but now we've got it. It'll be easier in the future, if that makes sense.
So when we were obviously sent the link and I just opened up SoundCloud for the first time, one of the things that really stuck out to me was actually the album artwork. I just found it so interesting, like it just really fitted the vibe and it just encapsulated what you guys have done. How did you guys come about this artwork, and how did you guys manage to get it so perfect for what you guys have created?
Yeah, the artwork's weird. Like so the original picture of the two mannequins and the one in the clout goggles and that, I took that picture in my friend's bedroom when I was 15. And like, it's really strange because like when I found it again, like I don't speak to her anymore. So it's really strange. Like we kind of lost contact. And I found all the pictures on my old camera of just like all the things I used to like. We used to take pictures of each other in the bedroom and like take pictures of each other's rooms and like whatever. And yeah, and I just found that one and I was like, oh, that could work really well. And then I just played around with it and tried to get the font kind of the way I wanted it, and that kind of smoke, that mist kind of coming through. That's all my girlfriend, because she's an artist and she just like clocked on. I gave her the piece and I was just like, you got any ideas for this? Because I want to use it for a cover. And again, we had like 10, 15 goes at it, and that was the one we kind of came out with, and that was the one that we were happy about. But yeah, I feel like it does fit, and kind of colour scheme wise, it does fit the project in my opinion, and that's the way that we kind of see it, and that's the colour palettes that we use for the EP. So, and especially with music videos and stuff like that, that's what we like to use.
So what would you say 3 words to describe the whole EP would be? You can do 3 each if you can't just pick 3 together.
It's hard to describe. It's just all different. There you go. It's all different.
Just all different. Yeah. Yeah. We'll go with that.
It's romantic. It's emotive, and it's like secretive.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah. So it's emotive because it's just all true, and every time I sing certain parts, like I still get choked up and I still get happy and I still relive those moments, and no one will ever know. You know what I mean? So, and it's romantic because that's kind of what I like writing about, kind of romanticized situations and making everything a love story and stuff like that. That's just me all over. And it's secretive because you get so much information from these songs, but you actually don't know a thing. And one thing I can say is Desire, I couldn't fit it all into one song, the whole story of it. It's really strange because Desire all took place in one night, and I couldn't fit it all into one song, so I put it into 2. So that could be released next year.
Desire
maybe.
Part 2.
I don't know. It won't be called that, but Desire Volume 2 Electric Boogaloo, But no, yeah, it is all just, you get so much information, but you actually don't know a thing. And like even the stories, you get so much context of the stories, but you still don't know who it's about. You still don't know what they look like. I think the only like feature is the first line of Free After Party. The only feature, like visual feature of a person is the pink eyeshadow. So like, good luck finding that person.
Very
mysterious. You know what I mean? Like, but that's just it. And it's like we crafted these songs to be about you, to be about the people who are listening, and we want people to throw themselves into them, and make these stories the soundtrack, you know, of your day to day.
I mean, yeah, like when I was listening through this EP, like I could not stop thinking about, like, this EP could be the soundtrack to an indie coming of age movie. Like, you could just imagine, like, perfect moments, just this soundtrack. Because as I said before, like, the ups and downs of it can just, like, encapsulate so much in such a short amount of time.
This is what we were thinking about when we were making kind of, you mentioned earlier about the track list, and this is exactly what we were thinking about. Kind of like Free After Party is that first meeting of these two people, and then if you are thinking it of a kind of like contextualized story, they move on to kind of like, you know, it's like about sex, but it's not really about sex, desire, and it's about being absolutely fucks off your head at a party or a house party or something. And then Uncool is that kind of after sex moment of just like, I kind of like try to capture that breath of when you kind of just slept with someone, or you've just kissed someone, or you've just kind of you've held hands with this person for the first time, whatever context you want to give it. And it's that first breath, and all of your insecurities just poured into a song, you know. So, and that's the kind of what we wanted to do with it. And Romantic Fool is very kind of like, you've broke up now and they've gone to someone else, and then you go into 317, and 317 is trying to get that person back. Even if it's just for one kiss, you're trying to get them back and you crave them. And then Atheist is just, I wasted too long on this person to, you know. And that's it with Atheist. Atheist is like the one for me that shouldn't really have been on the EP, which is why we made 317 so long. We were going to do that whole thing where like you leave like a 20-minute gap in between and then play Atheist at the end of 317. But yeah, Harris spoke me out, taught me out of that. But yeah, Atheist, just like, it shouldn't have been on there really. I think it's the oldest one, and it's just about a relationship I was in, and it was really toxic, and you know, I found out I was being cheated on, and then I was like, wait, why am I getting upset? I hardly know this person, I hardly like this person, I've been with them so long, but I've just been wrapped up in my own head. And it's that kind of thing of just like, you know, I was in love, it's all past tense, I was in love, I think about it sometimes in like, but I wasn't, you know. But yeah, all of the songs kind of flow that way. So
I think Atheist fits really well, to be fair, though. Like, even though you feel as though it shouldn't have been on the EP from an outsider's perspective, it very much goes with kind of the story that, as a listener, I'm kind of getting with it. Obviously, some people may perceive it very differently, and the whole like EP is like in general, it's so like sad but really comforting at the same time in a like odd way, you know.
Yeah, I get what you mean, and that's really good to hear someone's outside perspective, you know, vibing with it the same way that we kind of do. But yeah, no, Atheist is just like, Atheist for me, because it was so old, I just thought, I just put it in the bin really, just put it in the back of my hard drive, and was just like, I'm not going to use this, you know. I'm not gonna use it. And then I think we were messing about with songs, and I just played it to Harris, and Harris was like, oh, we could use that for the EP, because we just needed a few more songs, and that's when we wrote Romantic Fool. And then we got that one as well, and we were like, well, that can't be on the EP, it's like 6 minutes long, can't it? And we just kind of like, in the end, we just thought, fuck it, because it just adds a new depth, and it's a part of my life I'm just ready to get rid of, you know. And we wrote a little like quotes for Instagram that are going in like a video.
Yeah.
And I said that in that, I just said like, I don't know whether I'm ready to let go of it, the song as itself, but I'm ready to let go of that part of my life. I just need to get rid of it and just, so I can never think about it again. You know?
I feel as though like the song as well, like it being such a long track, I think it kind of, I don't know, it kind of drags the EP on a little bit and really just kind of pushes that idea of like, fuck, like I've come to this realization of like love and loss, and it really just kind of drags it out at the end. And I think it's really interesting, even if you didn't intend it. Like personally, I think that's like a really great way to just kind of end it out.
Yeah, there's a reason why there's such a long intro, and there's a bar of music in between each verse and the chorus kind of like it just hangs on for so long, you know. And then when it comes in to the drums at the end, like it does go on longer than it should have, and I feel like that does signify the relationship that it's about. It did go on for way longer than it should have. But yeah, and that's just it, and that's what we kind of wanted to get out of it. We wanted people to be listening to this song and being like, you know, it's that song where it's not finished by the time you get to your house, so you drive around the block again, you know, or like you just sit on your drive and listen to the end of it. You just want to hear the end of it. It's that song. It's the kind of, it's the credit to music.
Yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
if you're thinking about it in a movie sense, 3:17's the end, and then you just got a black screen of just, you know, like a Marvel movie, you're waiting for the end credit kind of thing. Like something's coming, but then it never does.
Yeah.
You know,
Which is like
and
something
that
just hits so
that drum
hard.
part is like, that's the build-up that it's coming to. It's all progressed to this part of guitar solo, and that's it. And then that's just exactly the same as just with drums. So, you know, there's obviously rises and falls in a songwriting point of view to keep the song interesting, so it can't just be front to back the same textures, but it does stay very kind of on a line, and it tries. It's something we do very well in like 3:17. You go in somewhere, you're building up somewhere, and it just never happens.
Yeah.
And that's lyrically where it was. So we tried to make that musically where it was as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, even as you said, like, earlier on with, like, American Idiot, how you just feel exhausted at the end of the album, and you like to kind of take that kind of inspiration with, like, the kind of how it was for the whole album. I think Atheist is, like, that song that after you've listened to the EP, you just stop and you're like, I need a breath now, I need a moment, and then I can, like, step forward and go on with my day.
It's funny that you mentioned like American Idiot a lot, because I remember speaking to Dids about how I want the drums for the Atheist, and I was bringing up the references of you know, Are We Are the Waiting, that one. I wanted that drums to capture that vibe, but I just wanted to get that off my chest. But no, but yeah, I think Green Day is such a big influence for me and Dids for ourselves, and we wanted to capture that in Atheist as well, because and it just all comes together, really.
It's a weird one, because it's not like like when in our kind of like formative years, like they were so present. Like my whole like early teenager stage was just Green Day, you know, and then as we've kind of grown as, you know, musicians, as people, I don't listen to Green Day anymore personally. I just don't. But then when we were talking about the album, we were like, oh, right. When we were talking about the EP, sorry, like, I was like, what should we do? You know, how should we make this as springs and as eccentric as possible? And how should we handle this? And Harris he said American Idiot, and I feel like light bulbs just went off in the room. We were like, yeah, that was my favourite album when I was like 14. And then Harris was like, that's my favourite album. And we were like, right, okay, we've got to do this, you know? So I feel like Green Day were the biggest influence that didn't have an influence at all on the music. It's all the aesthetic, and that's just, and kind of everything outside of the music.
So either this, I'm going to put this to you guys, and either individually or collectively. Do you guys have any favourite lyrics that kind of stick out to you, that you really thought, like, I wrote that really hits home? Is there any of them kind of things in that?
I mean, obviously, Desire is my favourite song that I think we've all written. I think just because of how emo the chorus is, just, you know, I think anyone going through them emotions like, oh yeah, I just want to die sort of thing, that's, you know, every teenager goes through that thing, yeah, so we can all relate to it as well. So I think that's just the lyrics to Desire are my favourite, personally.
Personally, like, I feel like my best lyricism is either Romantic Fool, any of that, really. Like, I love 3:17, like, that's my favourite track. And I feel like I did a kind of three-part thing in it. So it started in the first verse, it's like, when you held your breath, which is like signifying going in for a kiss. And then when you held my breath, meaning that you're kissing. And then when you said we should just be friends, they all kind of rhyme up. And I feel like there, I just like, it's one of the ones I was like, when I was originally writing it, I was just like, oh, that's all right, you know? That's an all right lyric. And it's just like, I still like, when I sing it, I'm still a bit like, I don't normally do this, like, but when I sing that song, I do still think about that person, you know, and it's one of them, you know, it's one of them where it's like, I'm completely over this person, I'm completely out of that relationship, I'm completely out of that time in my life. I'm a lot happier now than I was then. Every time I sing that song, you know, a part of my brain is still like, it takes me back there, which is why when we definitely play it live, there is a lot of emotion in that song. And I can't sing it just like, I can't just get up and sing it. Like, I've got to be really pumped because it just does, it comes from in here, you know. These are lyrics that I've steadily crafted. Like, I think I wrote it in probably like an hour, like front to back, and just like, it just hits me, you know. And every time I sing it, I sing different lines in places. There's a part in the middle when it's like, in the second verse where it's like, dun, 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 that kind of like the big cymbal hits. I had about 3 or 4 lines that could have fit there that just didn't. I just wrote them all down really like hectically, and I was like, right, okay, I'm going to choose that one. And then I sang it, the last time I sang it live, I sang a different one, and I was like, oh, okay, you know, it's never going to escape me. So.
Yeah. So I would love to keep on talking about this EP for hours, but we have got to come and wrap it up eventually. So before we bring it to an end, is there any kind of last notes that you guys want to get off your chest and get out there to anyone who's listening to the EP or who is about to go and listen to the EP?
Just, it's hard to it's hard to say, but it's hard with music because in some scenarios you can just listen to a song, but the way that we intended it, you've got to live it. Like, you have to, like, I want people to listen to it, and I want people to listen to Free After Party and picture every single person who was in the back of their head that they've ever got with on a night out, you know, and like listen to Atheist and imagine every single failed relationship you've ever been in, and desire just every single person you've ever been a twat to and broke their heart because you were already broken. Just like feel that and really build that and just go into it and just live it, you know. And that's what we do, and every time we play it, we live it, and that's what we hope that, you know, listeners get out of it.
So where can everyone find you on social media, and where can they all find your music?
We're everywhere. So Instagram, it's We Are Springs. Twitter, it's We Are Springs. Facebook, We Are Springs was taken, so it's Springs UK. Yeah. We do YouTube. We've got some music videos coming out soon. We're recording them in the next few days, so they will be out pretty promptly. So stay tuned for that. That's on our YouTube. You can pretty much find that on our Instagram or anywhere. And then the EP will be available on all platforms. And if you want a CD, you can buy one because we're making CDs out of them. And we've got some really cool little things that are just on the CD. So kind of certain like songs have different bits, and the artwork especially. There's so much art and visuals that have gone into this project that you will only find on places where we can actually post the pictures, which is going to be the CD. So yeah, there you go. And we've got a show in November for Birmingham promoters. We'll be announcing soon, hopefully. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that, but we'll do it anyway. We've got a show coming up. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And